In today's show, the U.S. slaps major new sanctions on Russia's oil giants. NASA confirms Earth has a temporary second moon. And a Silicon Valley startup unveils the world's first humanoid robot built for war. Plus, a $200 million White House makeover sparks outrage. Pakistan's Navy reels in a $1 billion drug bust. And New York's Curtis Sliwa refuses to back down with some dramatic flair. And here's the trivia question. Which state is considered the diner capital of the world? Is it in the Northeast, the South, the Midwest, or the West? Keep your guess, and I'll reveal the answer at the end of the show. It's Thursday, October 23rd. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Flyover Podcast. I am your weekday host, Ayla Brown. We have a packed show today, so let's get right to it and take off with today's biggest headlines. The U.S. has rolled out a new round of sanctions against Russia's two biggest oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil, along with dozens of their subsidiaries. Treasury officials say the goal is to cut off funding for the Kremlin's war in Ukraine, especially as peace talks remain stalled. A planned summit between Presidents Trump and Putin has been scrapped for now, and while Ukraine's President Zelensky called a ceasefire along the current front lines a good compromise, Russia hasn't shown much interest in negotiating. President Trump also confirmed that the U.S. won't send Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine, saying they're too complex to operate and would require lengthy American training or involvement. Next, NASA says Earth has a temporary second moon, a small asteroid called 2025 PN7. It's what astronomers call a quasi-moon, meaning it's not actually captured by Earth's gravity, but follows a similar orbit around the sun. The 19-meter-wide rock has been traveling alongside us since the 1960s and was just recently confirmed by NASA. Scientists say it'll continue orbiting near Earth until around 2083 before drifting off on its own path. And in the world of defense tech, a San Francisco startup called Foundation is making waves for creating the first humanoid robot built specifically for warfare. The 5'9", 175-pound machine called the Phantom MK1 can carry around 44 pounds and is designed to make high-risk missions, even acting as what the company calls a bullet sponge to protect soldiers. Foundation CEO says the future of combat will be, quote, real-life video games with autonomous robots leading the charge on land, sea, and air. The company already has $10 million in contracts with the U.S. military and plans to produce 10,000 of these robots by next year. We've linked the article in today's show notes, but out of curiosity, what are your thoughts on autonomous fighting robots? The comment section is always open. Here are your top political headlines. The U.S. military carried out another strike on an alleged drug smuggling vessel Tuesday night, this time off the Pacific coast of South America. Officials say 2 people were killed when the boat was hit in international waters near Colombia. It marks the 8th known U.S. strike on suspected narcotics operations in recent weeks, part of a wider push to disrupt trafficking networks tied to Venezuela and its allies. Former Republican Senator John E. Sununu is jumping back into politics, announcing he's running for the New Hampshire Senate seat he lost to Democrat Jeanne Shaheen back in 2008. With Shaheen retiring next year, the race is shaping up to be one of the most closely watched in the country, and one that hits close to home for me. My dad, former Senator Scott Brown, is also in the race, setting up what could be a very interesting Republican primary. Don't worry, I'll try to keep it professional. Emphasis on try. You can read more about the race in the show notes below. GOP Senate leaders tried yet again on Wednesday to pass a bill to reopen the government, and for the 12th time, Democrats blocked it. The standoff has now stretched into the second longest shutdown in U.S. history, with each side blaming the other spending priorities and the future of Affordable Care Act subsidies. And in North Carolina, lawmakers approved new congressional maps that heavily favor Republicans, giving the GOP an advantage in 11 of the state's 14 districts. Democrats say the maps eliminate the state's only competitive district and amount to blatant gerrymandering, while Republicans argue they're restoring fair representation after years of court-ordered redistricting battles. There's more on this story if you're a subscriber to the North Carolina Flyover email edition. And don't forget, we have 9 state editions, and you can sign up at jointheflyover.com. Here are some podcast extra stories you won't find in the email. A preservation group is asking the Trump administration to hit pause on demolishing the White House's East Wing, where construction is underway on a $200 million ballroom ordered by the president. The National Trust for Historic Preservation says work should stop until there's proper public review, warning the massive 55,000 square foot addition could, quote, overwhelm the building's classical design. Photos of excavators tearing into the East Wing went viral this week, with critics calling the project an unnecessary vanity move. The White House, though, says it's, quote, manufactured outrage, calling the new ballroom a bold and necessary upgrade consistent with past renovations. The Pakistani Navy says it seized nearly $1 billion worth of narcotics in 2 massive busts in the Arabian Sea, both happening within just 48 hours. Working with the Saudi-led Combined Maritime Forces, officials say they intercepted over 2 tons of crystal meth worth around $822 million in one operation. Then another 350 kilograms of meth and 50 kilograms of cocaine, valued at $150 million. Pakistan's Navy called it one of the most successful international drug seizes ever, saying it shows their commitment to regional and global security. And Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa is refusing to back out of New York City's race, despite mounting pressure from GOP leaders to make way for Andrew Cuomo. In a fiery radio interview, Sliwa compared himself to Braveheart, saying if he was given the choice between working for Cuomo or execution, he'd pick, quote, impale me. His defiant stance comes as polls show him trailing both Cuomo and opponent Zohran Mamdani by wide margins. Still to come, football meets Super Bowl week. Japan tests oxygen therapy in the most unexpected way, and Amazon's smart beds get a little too heated. Those stories and more next. But first, thanks to Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth's whole entire mission is to transform your 5 to 9 into the most comfortable part of your day. And they've nailed it. At bedtime at my house, I have 2 little kids, but once that house quiets down and I get a moment to myself, you know what I do? I slide right into Cozy Earth's viscose from bamboo sheets, and it has become the best part of my night. They are temperature regulating and really soft. I just washed mine 2 nights ago, and I climbed into my sheets, and it just felt like a 5-star hotel bed, but in your own home. And if you want to up your comfort game beyond the bedroom, oh my gosh, I'm going to just pull it up right now if you're watching. This bubble cuddle blanket is incredible. It has a plush textured design, if you can see right now, that makes it just as stylish as it is cozy. And the best part, you can try Cozy Earth risk-free. They give you 100 nights to see if you love them, plus a 10-year warranty. So head to CozyEarth.com, use my code FLYOVER for up to 20% off. And by the way, if you see a post-purchase survey, make sure to let them know you heard about Cozy Earth right here on the Flyover podcast, because home isn't just where you live, it's how you feel. Let's go home with Cozy Earth. Just kidding. In finance, Amazon says it plans to avoid hiring about 600,000 workers over the next decade by leaning more heavily on artificial intelligence and automation. But the company insists robots aren't replacing people. Instead, they'll be working alongside human employees as part of Amazon's push to double its sales by 2033. Meanwhile, there's some good news for homeowners, or at least those looking to refinance. Mortgage refinance applications jumped 4% this week and are now up a massive 81% from the same time last year. That's thanks to mortgage rates dipping to their lowest level in a month, giving borrowers a brief window to lock in lower payments. And over at Meta, about 600 employees in the company's artificial intelligence division are being laid off as part of an internal restructuring. Executives say the goal is to cut down on layers of management and make the AI team more efficient. Though it's another sign of how even the biggest tech firms are tightening up as they shift focus toward next-generation products. And here's how the stock market performed yesterday. The Nasdaq fell nearly 1%, the S&P 500 slipped about 0.5%, and the Dow dropped 0.7%. Bitcoin also dipped just over 1%, while gold edged slightly higher. The big mover of the day was Vicor Corporation, whose stock surged more than 30% after the company reported stronger than expected third-quarter earnings. Vicor makes power conversion and control technology used in everything from data centers to electric vehicles, and investors clearly liked what they saw in the latest report. Here are your sports headlines. Big news for women's sports. The brand new Women's Professional Baseball League has officially picked its first 4 cities: New York, Boston, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. For its inaugural season, all games will actually be played at a neutral site. The NFL is shaking things up this season, too. The league just announced that the Pro Bowl festivities will now happen during Super Bowl week. The flag football matchup between the AFC and NFC will take place on Tuesday, February 3rd, just 5 days before the big game, making it part of a week-long football celebration leading up to Super Bowl Sunday. Over in New York, a major sale just made NFL history. A 10% stake in the New York Giants has been sold, valuing the team at a whopping $10.3 billion, the highest valuation ever for an NFL franchise. The buyer, Julia Koch, the widow of billionaire businessman David Koch. And in Michigan State basketball, Coach Tom Izzo is not happy with the NCAA right now. He's blasting the organization for allowing 2 players to jump from the NBA's G League back into college basketball, something he says undermines the integrity of both systems. Izzo's comments have reignited the debate over how flexible the NCAA should be when it comes to player eligibility. What are your thoughts on this? The comments section is always open. In science and technology, General Motors is taking autonomous driving to the next level. The company announced it'll launch a fully hands-free, eyes-off driving system on the Cadillac Escalade IQ SUV by 2028. It'll start on highways and eventually expand to city streets. And unlike Tesla's camera-only setup, GM's version will combine LiDAR, radar, and cameras for better safety and precision. Meanwhile, in Japan, scientists have pulled off something that sounds a little wild, but could save lives. The first human trial of rectal oxygen delivery. The goal is to create an emergency breathing backup system for patients whose airways are blocked. Researchers say it actually works and could one day be used in hospitals. And Uber just gave its Green Ride option a facelift. The company is rebranding Uber Green as Uber Electric and offering $4,000 grants to help high-mileage drivers in certain states switch to EVs. It's all part of Uber's push to have an all-electric fleet in the U.S. by 2030. Here are a few lighthearted stories that we thought you would enjoy today. An Amazon Web Services outage earlier this week caused some unexpected chaos. Thousands of internet-connected smart beds overheated and got stuck in the upright position. The glitch reportedly led to thousands of dollars in damage and left some owners literally sleeping sitting up until the issue was fixed. Were you one of those people, by the way? Oh my gosh, that must have been torture. Next, Philadelphia Eagles offensive tackle Jordan Mailata showed off his pipes at the Philly Music Fest, stunning fans with a soulful cover of Amy Winehouse's Valerie. It's not his first time behind the mic. He actually competed on The Masked Singer a few years back. And once again, he's proved he's just as talented off the field as he is on it. You want to hear it? We've linked it in today's show notes. And a 39-year-old man from Virginia just completed the ultimate thrill seeker's dream. He's officially ridden all 1,069 adult-accessible roller coasters in the U.S. It took him nearly 3 decades of traveling coast to coast to conquer every single one, from wooden classics to high-speed steel giants. Now that's dedication to the ride. Here's the results of yesterday's poll question. What is your go-to stress reliever? 25% said other, 21% said walk it off, 16% said sweat it out, another 16% said snack time, 14% said crank the tunes, and 8% said scream into the abyss. Thanks to everyone who voted on YouTube, by the way. Many of you said that prayer brings you a lot of peace, and others said getting lost in a good book. And by the way, if you have any book recommendations, the comment section is always open. I like murder mysteries, by the way. And here's today's poll question. Did you ever own an iPod? Yes, had one or more? No, but I wanted one. No, I wasn't interested. Or, what's an iPod? Did you know that on this day in 2001, Apple introduced the iPod? Then it was a portable music player that was advertised with the slogan, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Wow, the good old days. And gosh, yes, I had an iPod. I had multiple iPods, the big one and then the iPod mini. And those things were the bomb. I bet you had at least one of them too, right? You can vote in the show notes below and I'll read the answers in tomorrow's episode. The links to vote are in the show notes. In trivia, which state is considered the diner capital of the world? If you guessed New Jersey, you are correct. It's the diner capital of the world, featuring around 400 diners. This is due in part to its semi-rural and suburban areas where traditional food is pretty common. So shout out to New Jersey. Thank you to everyone who watched today's Flyover podcast. If you wouldn't mind leaving us a 5-star review, that would really support our show. And also maybe share it with someone that might want unbiased, no-nonsense news. Don't forget, I'll be back tomorrow with more headlines. It's Friday tomorrow. Until then, thanks for flying with us.